posters. Mm-hmm. And there's this one poster, I'm pretty sure my brother still has it, of Sting with the baseball bat, trench coat. In the background, it's like, you know, it was like fire, but we loved that poster. We shared it. We hung it in our room. We were just like, oh, Sting, he's the greatest.
Yeah.
And I gotta find that poster.
I go way back with the Sting and him fighting the Four Horsemen towards their tail end, and him and Ric Flair, they just always meshed so well together to the point where on the final WCW Nitro, the final match was Sting against Ric Flair, and I was like, I tears shed down my eye. They hugged each other. It was an amazing moment. His feuds with Ravishing Rick Rude were amazing, and a big part of that was a guy named Paul E. Dangerously, a.k.a. Paul Heyman.
Who's that guy?
The mouthpiece. And boy, Ravishing Rick Rude had a stable called the Dangerous Alliance. Actually, I guess it's Paul E. Dangerously. Mm-hmm. That group included Ravishing Rick Rude, Medusa, who got inducted into the Hall of Fame last year, Arn Anderson, Larry Zbyszko,
another legend,
Bobby Eaton. I don't know if you remember beautiful Bobby Eaton, and some guy named Stunning Steve Austin.
Yep.
A.K.A.
Stone
Cold Steve Austin. And they would have battles, and Sting recruited Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, Dustin Rhodes, who was Goldust, Barry Windham, and Nikita Koloff. And they had this one match, the War Games, inside of two rings inside of a steel cage. And with two teams, it was just that was like the greatest match I ever seen. I think it even won Match of the Year. It was so good.
What year was that again?
92.
92.
Yeah, and then Sting went on to fight Vader, and I was always scared of Vader. Vader was like The Undertaker to me when The Undertaker first came out.
Yeah.
I was so scared, even after he beat Sting for the title. I was so upset. But even they had a great match at Starrcade 92. They had this thing called The King of Cable, and they had all these matches on TV, and then the final was at Starrcade, which was WCW's version of WrestleMania.
Yep.
And Sting finally beat Vader, and it was an amazing match. A lot of good Sting moments. I was not really into TNA.
No.
So the Sting run there, I didn't see too much of. I saw bits and pieces.
I was confused at times when he came out dressed almost like the Joker.
Yes, they tried to reinvent Sting's character and making him into some Joker, almost like the Heath Ledger Joker version. It was interesting, but it's just TNA storylines don't last, and it just died out.
Then he didn't even have the paint on, and when he was in that
the Main Event Mafia, that was pretty cool. That was kind of cool.
With who was that? Kurt Angle, Samoa Joe. There was someone else in with him. I can't remember, but I that's when TNA kind of had me intrigued, and I was watching it kind of every other week or weekly. But
the problem with Sting is he falls under that category of he will never get booed. So you can turn him heel, and it still won't work out, because I remember the first time he turned heel was at Fall Brawl 99. He fought Hulk Hogan for the title, and Hulk Hogan had just turned face again. Yeah. He just went back to his yellow and red, and they were doing some angle where Luger was a bad guy at the time, and he would be cheap-shotting Hogan, and then there was a rumor that he had hit Sting, and they were kind of still friends. And then at Fall Brawl, Luger gave Sting the bat, and he beat Hogan with the bat, and everyone was like, oh, my goodness, Sting is turning. But no one would buy it because everyone loves Sting. So that was just, his heel runs never, ever lasted. And then we go to finally Sting making it into the World Wrestling Entertainment. The moment he stepped into Survivor Series, that was probably where it should have ended, because that was an awesome moment how they handled that. But then to have him come in week after week, beat up on Triple H, and I'm like, something's going to happen at WrestleMania, and I'm not going to like it.
And sure enough, it happened.
Yep. I mean, minus the NWO and DX coming in, they could have saved that for something else.
They could have saved it for something else, but also, it was already done. I mean, you have people who now are in their early 20s or kids who have no idea who these guys are. If it was done right when they bought WCW, then that would have been a WTF moment. But
yeah. I mean, Vince McMahon really likes to stick it to the WCW guys.
It's like, okay, you've done it. How much more are you going to do? You have the DVDs of the Monday Night Wars. You have that special on the WWE Network. We get it. You beat Ted Turner. You beat Eric Bischoff. Hell, you even had Eric Bischoff work for you and made him basically come crawling back looking for a job, if you want to think of it that way.
But to bury these guys, these wrestlers, I mean, come on.
And then you have guys coming out like Scott Hall could barely even walk when he came out. Kevin Nash looked like he seen better days with his hip. And you're having them intervene. I mean, the match was going great. I mean, yeah, okay, it was pretty cool from a point of growing up in the Attitude Era. But like I said,
what do you get from him losing to Triple H? What do you get out of that? I don't know.
Get
what
nothing.
Does that prove?
All this huge buildup that, Sting finally debuted in the WWE.
And he loses. He's lost both of his matches. And then they tried to sell you on, Sting won a match because he beat the Big Show on Monday Night Raw. Give me a break.
He probably beat him numerous times on WCW Nitro when he was the Giant.
Who knows if he'll ever wrestle again because Seth Rollins threw him on his neck.
Yeah. What is he, like 1-2 in the WWE?
Finished. Yeah.
So, I mean, originally I wondered if they were ever going to give him the title.
For a long time, no one even cared about that. They just wanted to see Sting and Undertaker at WrestleMania. And who knows, we might not even ever get that.
Mm-hmm.
The perfect time to do that was probably back in WrestleMania 27. But what did they do? They went in with Triple H and Undertaker because they couldn't sign Sting. I mean, it was close. We were getting close to that match.
Well, even last year with the whole having Sting and Triple H, I much rather would have seen Sting versus Undertaker. Or, I would have just rather have seen that.
You could have saw that coming as the Undertaker would have won because there's
of course.
way they were going to have the Undertaker lose
2 years in a row.
Yep,
exactly.
So I mean, I definitely didn't buy it, but I mean, I'm glad that Sting is actually getting his time to shine in the Hall of Fame. I mean, someone tweeted, why is Sting going into the Hall of Fame? He never did anything for the WWE, but that's not the point of the Hall of the WWE. Do you know how many guys have never wrestled in the WWE that are in the Hall of Fame?
And newsflash for you, Vince owns WCW like libraries and all. So, and if you're a wrestling fan, you should appreciate him going to the Hall of Fame.
It's these youngsters. It's these youngsters that sit on the internet all day. Just like the Back of the Boys comment, and they just tweet away. They
want to see their Roman Reigns and this and that, and they don't know anything about real wrestling. They see it on the WWE Network, and they're like, what is this stuff? This actually happened? Oh, man, it's ridiculous.
Unbelievable stuff. But congratulations to Sting.
Can I ask you one quick question?
Sure.
Who do you think is going to induct him into the Hall of Fame? I personally think it's going to be the one, the only Nature Boy, Ric Flair.
I mean, that's the most logical point. Who else can do it? Diamond Dallas Page, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, well, we all know Hulk Hogan can't do it.
Yeah, but then our good friend Scott doesn't want Ric Flair to do it. And I'm trying to tell you, who do you want to induct Sting into the Hall of Fame? John Cena?
No.
I mean, come on.
Triple H?
No. He's like anyone but Flair. But come on. Flair and Sting have had that.
They've been battles for years. They've had epic matches and all.
He's the only logical choice. If anyone else was to do it, I would say probably Diamond Dallas Page.
Or Eric Bischoff, if you want to. But I don't think is he even on good terms with.
I don't know what.
Or if you want to get really crazy, which I know will never happen
Here we go.
in a million years.
Coming out of the logical head of Keith Logan, the Loganator.
Will be amazing, but you damn well know it will never happen because Vince hates this man's guts for years on end. Is to get the man who originally signed Sting, who had him compete in his WCW. You get the one, the only Ted Turner.
Yeah.
But it's not going to happen. I know it's not going to happen.
You could do Bret Hart, could do it.
You can get Bret Hart, but Bret Hart was more a WWF guy.
Sharpshooter versus...
or WWE guy. I'm sorry, you fanboys. You might, on the internet, you might be screaming at me because I said, oh, WWF. But back then, it was WWF. He was always WWF to me. When he didn't want to even go to WCW. He basically got kicked out.
Yeah, he did.
Watch the video on the network. It will tell you everything. That's all I have to say.
All right, when we come back here on Ringside Rumble Radio, we are going to get into if Daniel Bryan, is he staying? Is he going?
Possible rumors lurking the internet.
And we'll get into some TNA and NXT news as we come back. Anthony the Ant-Man alongside Keith Logan the Loganator. Ringside Rumble Radio here on the UCR Network.
Unified Championship Radio.
Oh yeah, it is the UCR Network, Unified Championship Radio. This is Ringside Rumble Radio. I am the Loganator, alongside my good friend and partner in crime, the Ant-Man, Anthony Rivera. Remember to follow us on Twitter at UCR Network and on Instagram at UCR Network.
Facebook.com/UCR Network.
Very good. We got that right now. Before the break, my good friend was talking about a possible wrestler, like how I said wrestler, not superstar, wrestler being released in the WWE. Rumors have been swirling around this past week, I would say, that some unnamed HR employee in the WWE said they received the paperwork for the one, the only Daniel Bryan to be released next week. Now, I don't know if I buy this rumor because they invested so much time and money in Daniel Bryan, though he is a liability to the WWE with his injuries in the past, though he is married to one of the Bella twins, and she is part of that amazing show on the E! Network, which I do not watch, also known as Total Divas.
Guilty pleasure. I'm a huge fan.
Oh!
Huge fan of that show.
You heard it here first, my friends. If you're listening on Spreaker.com, the exclusive way to listen to the UCR Network. But anyway, enough of the cheap plug. Will he be released? And if he is released, who will sign him?
Well, I have the answer to that question.
Oh, you do?
And the answer to that question is absolutely not, because the WWE responded and said there is no truth to that rumor at all.
But let's just play a little bit here. If he were to be released, could you see him ending up in Ring of Honor? Could you see him ending up in TNA? Could you even see him possibly in Lucha Underground, which they start their next season next week?
Have you watched that by any chance?
I've seen one episode, and it was in Spanish, and I was kind of confused, but if you put it on mute, it's pretty good stuff. That's all I have to say. It is pretty good stuff.
I'm going to have to check that out.
I think they're on YouTube. I know they're on the El Rey network, but I have Fios.
I don't have that channel.
Yeah.
I got Fios.
Yeah, it's not on Fios, but I believe you can watch their show on the good old YouTube. But back to Daniel Bryan quickly. If he were to be released, you would be completely idiotic if you were Dixie Carter and you decided, let's not take a chance on this guy. Because you all know how TNA is. They like to sign guys who mean nothing to WWE, who never even held a title. Like Mr. what is he even called now? Mr. Anderson, Mr. Kennedy, whatever he was. They got MVP, who he was okay promo-wise, but on in the ring, he was kind of like a dinosaur in my book. Then you go out and you sign Jeff Hardy and Matt